Hello friends, you are on the channel Quotes of Great Men. Enjoy watching. School came to bore me. It took up far too much time, which I would rather have spent drawing battles and playing with fire. Arab culture had struck me with overwhelming force. The emotional nature of these unreflective people who are so much closer to life than we are. I began to understand that the goal of psychic development is the self. There is no linear evolution, there is only a circumambulation of the self. For underlying all philosophies and all religions are the facts of the human soul, which may ultimately be the arbiters of truth and error. Birth is difficult, but 1,000 times more difficult is the hellish afterbirth. All the dragons and monstrous serpents of eternal emptiness follow behind the divine sun. Not everything I bring forth is written out of my head, but much of it comes from the heart also. In fact, it seems to me as if that alienation which so long separated me from the world has become transferred into my own inner world, and has revealed to me an unexpected unfamiliarity with myself. Were not the autonomy of the individual the secret longing of many people, it would scarcely be able to survive the collective suppression either morally or spiritually. There is no difference in principle between organic and psychic growth. As a plant produces its flower, so the psyche creates its symbols. My aim was to show that delusions and hallucinations were not just specific symptoms of mental disease, but also had a human meaning. I find that all my thoughts circle around God like the planets around the sun, and are as irresistibly attracted by Him. I would feel it to be the grossest sin if I were to oppose any resistance to this force. The persona is a complicated system of relations between individual consciousness and society, fittingly enough a kind of mask, designed on the one hand to make a definite impression upon others, and, on the other, to conceal the true nature of the individual. Relationships must be fostered as far as possible and maintained, and thus a morbid transference can be avoided. Man wordt niet dadergerlukt, das man sich licht gestalten voorstelt, zonder durch bewustzijn der dunkelheid. Alcohol is the reduced form of spirit. Therefore, many people, lacking spirit, take to drink. They fill themselves with alcohol. Tel passé, yesterday's truth is today's deception, and yesterday's false inference may be tomorrow's revelation. Theologians are different in this respect. At any rate, at least they are sure that God exists, even though they make contradictory statements about Him. I knew that I had to find the answer out of my deepest self. Man is indispensable for the completion of creation, that, in fact, He himself is the second creator of the world, who alone has given to the world its objective existence. The grief a man feels when he is forced to sacrifice his ideal and his conscious attitudes. Crimes the individual alone could never stand are freely committed by the group. The ways within us, but not in God's, nor in teachings, nor in laws. Within us is the way, the truth, and the life. For she belonged to that class of human beings of whom spiritual activity is demanded. Where the many are, there is security. What the many believe must of course be true. What the many want must be worth striving for, and necessary, and therefore good. To be unhistorical is the Promethean sin, and in this sense the modern man is sinful. A higher level of consciousness is like a burden of guilt. Only the complete person knows how unbearable man is to himself. We all feel that the opposite of our own highest principle must be purely destructive, deadly, and evil. We refuse to endow it with any positive life force, hence we avoid and fear it. Consciousness is a precondition of being. Until you allow the unconscious to become conscious, it will rise up to you as your life and you will call it your fate. When thinking leads to the unthinkable, it is time to return to simple life. What thinking cannot solve, life solves. And what action never decides is reserved for thinking. Good advice is often a doubtful remedy, but generally not dangerous because it has so little effect. Anyone who takes the sure road is as good as dead. Insofar as society is itself composed of de-individualized human beings, it is completely at the mercy of ruthless individualists. To the extent that a man is untrue to the law of his being and does not rise to personality, he has failed to realize his life's meaning. Fortunately, ethical decision is possible only when one is conscious of the conflict in all its aspects. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid their own souls. Numinous experience elevates and humiliates simultaneously. The future of mankind depends very much upon the recognition of the shadow. Thanks for watching. Check out these educational videos too.